Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. A little bit different. And good evening, and welcome to the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, a weekly podcast and YouTube show discussing spirituality and science, balancing health and well-being with mind, body, and spirit with a Daoist twist. What does Dao mean? The Dao means the way, the path, the balance. Now, we are not your normal talk show. We have a different subject or guest. This week we have a very wonderful guest. And our aim is to have an open discussion to help us all find new skills and new techniques to balance our very own personal Dao. So, good evening, Sifuboggie here. And well, this is the Way of Mindful Consciousness. Now, tonight, it is the Way of Angel Trinity, which we'll be talking about unleashing your inner hero. Now, Angel herself, she is an energy healer, master, teacher, intuitive reader, many other things. We'll talk to her in a minute. But first, as always,
Boggie has crashed.
I thought it was me. That's fine.
No. It's perfectly timed. Every time.
As always,
Yeah.
crashed.
So, shall I ask the question, Robbie?
Yeah.
Angel, what is your way? What is your Tao? What is your path?
Well, I've been asking myself this question for about, I think, 20 years. Because I think my life started totally out of my own way. And at a point I started to look for it. And the first question that I got for myself, and that became a big part of the work I do, was, what's my purpose? Why am I here for? Because you start doing something, you start living your life, but if you are not on that path that is meant for you, you just feel like things don't work well, and you just feel like you're not yourself. So my way for quite a long time was to find out, what's my place in this world? What's my purpose? Where am I going? What am I supposed to do? And the moment I started to turn to my spiritual side, my way just started to unfold itself. And it started with energy healing. And I think it started with energy healing mostly because I was the one who needed the healing. I think my heart was so, obviously my heart was so broken. I mean, I've been through so many things in my life. And part of my way is the fact that somehow I could find that strength of getting out. And many times when I want to do something, I try to tap into that sort of determination that I have when I'm in a limit situation. Somehow I always get out of them. That's when I find that power. That's when I find that strength within me. And it's part of my way to always find that strength and to always grow, to always find the next step. It may be a very small step, or it may be something big to do. But as long as you keep moving on, as long as you keep looking for something else, for something better about yourself, you stay on the path. And I think that's the path. That's the path for all of us. To learn to grow ourselves and to grow spiritually, to grow within, regardless, at a point, even regardless of what we are doing outside. Though when we start growing inside, we start to do things outside, because you just realize that we are here with a purpose, and for everybody, the purpose we are here for is related to helping others in some way. Other people, I don't know, animals, nature, but we are all meant to bring something for others. And the next question that comes to me is, finally, what I'm going to leave behind me. And that's another very important part of the path. I want to leave something behind me. I want to make sure that I've done my best during the years that I spent on this earth, as many as they are. I've done my best to leave something, and I've done my best to, even if I have a few more light than the one near me, I want to know that I've done my best to raise that one near me, that person, to raise that person more towards the light, as much as I can, as much as I'm allowed in the end.
Who's putting the limit on how much light you can bring to them?
The light that you have within yourself, or the light that you bring within yourself. It doesn't mean that you have it. I mean, nobody is perfect in this world. But, you know, it's quite interesting. I may feel that, I don't know, my world is not perfect, or I'm not at my best. But when I am meant to do something, let's say I meant to send energy to somebody, that light comes. Because in the end, we are the channels of the light. We don't hold the light ourselves. It's given to us. It's channeled through us. So the amount of light that you have is the amount of light that you allow within yourself. Because we live in this world, and in this world, we have a lot of temptations. And we're humans. We all have a shadow. We all have something negative within us. We all have something to learn, to heal ourselves. For me, for example, I think the biggest lesson that I had to learn, and I'm continuously learning about it, was the one of judgment. Because, okay, I grew up in a certain medium, and I learned to judge. And then I had to unlearn myself, although...
If you've got spare time, why don't you go to the YouTube link? And I'm back, yes. Go to the YouTube link, and we'll...
I've just muted him. Carry on.
All right. Yeah, so where was I?
You were talking about judgment and where you have grown from judgment.
Yes.
So kind of learn to judge, yeah?
It's an example. No, you know what? In the end, I have to allow myself to judge. If I'm to judge something, if let's say something happens and makes me angry and it makes me react, I think the best thing is to allow myself to judge and then to ask, what am I judging there? You know, because let's say the other side of the lesson is to learn to accept everything. Now, yes, it's difficult sometimes to accept situations that maybe you feel that are unfair towards you or unfair towards the whole world. But you have to learn to accept them. So yeah, for example, if I am in a position where I judge something or somebody, how can I allow much light within me? Because I'm putting myself away from the light. But when I say, okay, hold on, let's not judge, let's not look, let's accept everything, or let's ask within myself, what's the truth? What's the reason behind? Then of course I'm going to allow more light through me. I'm going to allow more light to pass through me. Because I will step away from that, let's call it negative energy of judging somebody, or of, I don't know, thinking something negative about anything around you. If I step away from that point, I can allow more energy to flow through me. And then of course I have more light. And when I have more light, I can touch others. And I can touch others in ways that I may not even imagine. I don't know why, for example, yesterday the whole day, I went to work, to my job, everybody was smiling to me. I have no idea why. Indeed, I had a very nice experience in my morning meditation, and probably somehow I got to glow. I got to have so much light within me that everybody was looking at me and smiling at me. And I was thinking, oh my God, that's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, eh? It's about allowing the light, eh? Because we're all light. It's just about how much we block it.
Yeah.
Or we put in the way of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what was your earliest experience, Angel, of like knowing that you were going to be on this path? What turned you on to this?
You know, if I look back now, Probably I always knew, and obviously we all know, all our lives we know. The question is, are we listening or not? And of course I was not listening. I had absolutely no kind of spiritual education. In my family, it was also that time, it was the communist time in Romania, where religion was not allowed. And my parents were trying so much to abide the rules. So by abiding the rules, they didn't have that courage to say, okay, let's see what church is about. It was not allowed, so they said, okay, we stay away. Now, looking back, I'm happy I didn't have a church education, a religious education, because especially in my country, most of the people are Christian Orthodox, and I feel Orthodoxy a bit too tight.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been way too tight for me, but I had no kind of information. Let's say it this way. I didn't have any kind of information. But I remember
You have an informed choice.
Yeah, exactly. I remember looking at the sky and seeing flashes of energy when I was a child. I remember wanting to be outside, especially in spring when all the nature comes back to life. I could not stay in the house. So there was something within me that was calling me to connect. I also remember waking up in the middle of the night and having not so nice beings, let's call them this way, around me. And that was a very scary part. And I tried for quite a long time to not see, to not feel, to not care, because light comes together with darkness, you know. The more light you put within yourself, the more you may see the other side as well. And I didn't like, even now I don't like to see the other side, but I still see it sometimes, of course. So seeing the other side made me kind of scared. And I can say that I lived quite many years in sort of a fear. First, it was the fear of failure, because I had an education. And my education said I have to have a career, a brilliant career, a big career, because my parents said I'm smart. They sent me to school, and they expected this big career from me. And I tried my best, honestly. Then I had to have a family in the way that I saw my family at home. And I'm still admiring so much my parents' relationship. But honestly, I had to go through 2 terrible marriages before I found that one that was actually the one that I was dreaming of. Maybe because I was looking for something outside of myself instead of looking inside. And I have to admit, throughout all those years, I did not almost ever, no, a few times, I can say that I listened to my gut feelings. You know, I rather listened to my mind. I lived in my mind. I went to engineering schooling, by the way. So I tried to live as much as possible in my mind. I admire my father so much, who is an engineer. Maybe that's what influenced me as well. Until I got to that point where there was sort of no way back. And I remember there is a moment that I know, and I remember it so vividly. I was in UK already, and I was living in a place. I was quite alone, I can say, at that moment. Those that were around me were sort of enemies for me, in the sense that there were people who were in a lower vibration. And you know, when you are in a group where all stay at that lower vibration, they will try their best to diminish your vibration instead of trying to raise their own. So it was quite difficult for me, and I was alone. There was nobody. I had no friend or no family member here around me. Yeah, I could reach them on phone. I could speak to them online, but it was different. And I remember one day I was going to my job at that moment. And I think the good part of it was that I had to walk between 2 towns, and there was no bus. So I had to actually walk. It was about 20 minutes walk. On a side there was a forest, on the other side there was a field. It was nice at that time. I was working nights as well, so in the night it was not so nice, but I found a great torch, the biggest one in the shop, so I could get myself the required light that I needed. But walking there in a road that many times it was just me. You know, I was listening to music. I was listening to a lot of gospel music by the time. I think I felt that need to bring something within me. Mm-hmm. And while walking and listening to that music, I was talking. First I said, okay, I'm talking to myself. But then I realized that I was not talking to myself. I was talking to another force. I was talking to God, of course. So I was in nature, walking, and talking to myself, God within myself. Wherever I was talking, I was just putting everything out of my heart, saying, this doesn't work well, this doesn't work well, this doesn't work well. I don't want this anymore. I want something else. I want to move another way. I want to, you know, I was asking, and I was asking for sort of a miracle. I was asking for something to happen to get me out of the situation. And things happened. Quite soon after that moment, I started to get contact with a lot of information online that I was not much aware of it until that moment. And one thing I remember, I was listening actually to Hay House World Summit. There were a lot of interviews, a lot of information. And on that way that I was taking to work and back, I was listening to those interviews. And I remember being quite a little child, about 5, 6, and I was seeing movies at home. And in those movies, presented though in quite a negative way, there was a lady many times drawing a tarot card and seeing usually the death card and get scared. And you know, the whole scene was presented in a negative way. But when I was a child, I was looking at that and I was thinking, I so much wish I could read those cards. I so much wish I would be a chosen one, because I thought you have to be a chosen one to be able to do that. And then I realized that actually on the market, there are oracle cards, there are tarot cards, and actually somebody like me can read tarot. And of course I bought a lot of card decks. And I learned from books, I learned from myself, I learned from somewhere else. I don't know where I learned it from. But this was my beginning of going back within myself and of starting to listen. I think up to that moment, I was not listening. Obviously, there were signs, there were my inner feelings, but I was not much listening to them. I think I wanted something that was not for me. And then I got exactly to this question, what is my path? What is my way? Yeah. Obviously, my way is not the same way. And I remember being younger and being a child as well, and seeing that sort of, I don't fit within. Of course, when you are little, you start to think that there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time wondering what's wrong with me, actually. There was nothing wrong with me. I just did not have my tribe with me. So, yeah. Of course, when I found my tribe, I realized, okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me.
Yeah. I think that's happening more and more now as well. It's like the bigger tribe is coming together because of ascension, the raising consciousness, the raising understanding of what all these things mean as well. It's really, I think that's exactly what it is. The tribe's coming together. And now that there's connection, there's the internet, there's Facebook, there's you know, there's all these different mediums that we're able to pull together with, and but I understand that as well. You know, I understand that exactly. I think a lot of light workers have had that as a kid. You know, it's like feeling like, wait a minute, I'm a bit odd here. I'm odd. You know, like is it me? Is there something wrong with me? You know, or whatever. You know. Yeah.
You know, when you look at somebody, they tell you something, and you know that's not true.
Yeah.
You are going to say, okay, I'm weird, you know, there's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with me actually. But I can see that that person is not honest. At least I can have that feeling.
Yeah, you know?
So,
and you just naturally say it. Like I remember many times in my childhood when like there would be something would come up, and I would just say something. I wouldn't be thinking about analysing a situation or bringing somebody out of their negativity or trying to embarrass them or anything like that. But I would just say something that was obvious to me. That was the truth of the situation that they didn't realise that was. I was seeing into them. I didn't realise what I was doing because it was just what was obvious to me. But I lost a lot of friends that way as a kid.
Yeah, you do.
yeah. I know what you mean, you know, and it's just like they're like, how did you know that? And for years before I even became a medium or you know was in circle or meditated or did anything like that, you know, like when I've got a few mates that have said to me since, you were a spooky wee kid, so I can relate to that. You know what I mean? I understand what you're, you know. And I think everybody's coming together now, though. You know, it's like you're finding your tribe on a bigger scale now. You know, even like shows like this. This wouldn't have been possible years ago, you know?
I think we have to come together. And I think that there are already serious changes in this world. And, you know, I called it impression when I was, I think maybe a teenager. There was a time then when I was wondering again, which way am I going? You know, what I want to choose for my life. And I had that feeling that something is going to happen. And somehow there is a group, there is something that I'm going to be part of. And a group is going to come together because it's going to be needed. But obviously, this was so unclear in my mind. This was so unclear for me at that moment. And it clarifies more and more and more. And the more we get together, as you say, the more we ascend ourselves as well. And we can help others ascend.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned, you know, my daughter asked since a few days, she said, I want to meditate. And I was, oh my God, thank you. She wants to meditate.
Perfect.
And she decided to come in the morning and join me when I meditate. So this,
awesome.
Yeah, this morning she was sitting there with me.
How old is she?
She will be 20.
Fantastic. Perfect. Just before our fourth cycle, eh? Perfect.
Yeah, so she joined me to meditate. I have a 6 weeks old grandson in Romania, and he keeps coming into my meditation. We are connecting. When I meditate, I see him. You know, it's something really lovely. I didn't see him in reality yet, but he's coming to my meditation.
Fantastic.
So this morning, my daughter was there. My grandson appeared there. I had a feeling of my father's energy, you know, and it was sort of a family reunion in meditation. And that made me so happy, you know.
Beautiful.
Because exactly, and my own experience in meditation was an amazing one. And the thing that I felt that was, I didn't have that knowing that Jesus energy is around me, but the feeling was that feeling of pure love and nothing else. So I believe these things start to happen naturally. And I want to believe that more and more people will be drawn to it. More and more people will want to look for it and will want to look for an answer, because we all have to ascend. We all have
some
years to ascend. Exactly.
Yeah, it's happening. There is a vibration. That's why there's such a duality in the world as well. That's why the polarity is shifting so quickly with everything that's happening geopolitically, and you know, like just with everything and the way that the status quo has been, the paradigm of control, and you know what the people think they have got the control. You know, that have been kind of you know, scaring the world for a long time. You know, with control. It's all breaking down, but it's only happening through love, because all of these systems that are in place, it just has to break down. It can't do anything else, you know, because the vibration shifting. And once that vibration shifts, it's like Boggie, you were talking about the CIA, experiments with the meditation, and you know, it changing the frequency of the whole city. You know, it's like, well, when you get enlightened ones all coming together in meditation, and it's sparking open everybody else. There's no question that it's going to change. It is changing. It will change. It's just a matter of how quickly and how fast everybody opens up. But like you say, you know, that's why you're in that position just now, and that's why we're being called to greater kind of discipline as well. Like, I'm being called to another fast as well. Again, like, I'm starting another fast again tomorrow. You know. And it's like the more and more the vibration raises, just it's got a knock-on effect, you know. You're doing great work, fantastic. But congratulations on your grandchild. That's
thank you.
Wonderful. How great, yeah, lovely.
Yeah. He's a lovely guy.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, I do think, I mean, that is like very cool, interesting. Like you said, you had your grandchild coming into the meditation. I will say at the same time, I think that's going to happen. The children that are coming now are technically, you know, they're more heightened. They're coming because of what's happening now, and they'll speed ahead far more than I mean, you get people won't quite get that at first, but they'll be far ahead, advanced.
Far
you know
advanced.
What it's taken, like our generation. Like I'm 46, so it's taken me to get 6 years to get to here. It's taken the generation before me, at least probably 10 years less, the generation before that, and so on and so forth. So the next couple of generations, they'll be instant, you know,
really
as soon as they can talk, they'll already be. I mean, my daughter's 15 now, but at about 9, 10, she was naturally, because she was always around me, and I did energy work. I did Reiki. Well, I did Chinese Reiki, which is Shun Chi Shen, as well as Reiki, and she, you know, did this thing, like, you know, she put her hands together and did this thing, and the blast of energy I got from her, and I was thinking, you know, you little Sifu, you know, like, you know, that was, I've never taught you that, and that was pretty good. Standard is
happening naturally, just happening energetically,
Yeah, but Sifu, I don't know about you, but what's happening to me many times, I say, okay, I want to have a Reiki session. I want to sit and do everything by the book, and no way, it doesn't work like that. I mean, things just start flowing. Things just start happening. Sometimes you don't get to use symbols. You don't get anymore to go through all that process, because things just come to you and you just know. And an interesting thing that happened lately, and quite a few times, is that I get to know that I'm getting the light. The light comes through me. And I wonder, what's for? I didn't ask for it. Then I get to say, okay, then let it go out wherever is needed, wherever it has to go, because obviously it has a purpose. I may not realize what's the purpose, but let it go wherever is needed. And it goes beyond the symbols, beyond our old ways of using Reiki.
Yeah.
Because we grow so much, and as we grow, everything grows around us.
Yeah. It expands exponentially. And you just even doing that's complete trust in the divine. And complete trust in the divine, when you're doing everything under grace, everything works out much better than you could ever really comprehend with your mental body. With your own mind. We can conceive a certain amount, and we conceive a lot. We can conceive an awful lot, but we can't conceive anywhere near the amount that we can conceive in our divine state. And that's unconditional love. And like you say, you know, under grace, when it's just take it where it needs to go. Yeah,
because you may not even realize.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens many times, and it also happens if I have a purpose and I feel that there's a lot of strong energy, even though I ask for it to go to my purpose, of course, whatever I'm asking for. But when I see that there's something really powerful, I say, okay, let it be shared where it's needed, wherever it has to go.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's given to us in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. And it's do you feel yourself getting revved up now as well? You look, as far as your work is concerned, because you do life coaching as well, yeah, and Reiki and
yes, yes. Why I went into this life coaching thing was because of it. You know, I thought of course, first you think you are broken, then you think, oh my God, these things can only happen to me, you know. But then I saw. With my readings, by the way, so many, I think for the past 2 years, most of the people asking me questions, asking me to read for them, they were asking me, what's my life purpose? Where am I going? You know? Then I thought, okay, I've been there. I know how it feels. You know? Okay, then let's go that way. Let's go that way more than just doing a reading. More than finding out for somebody, sort of, you know, you don't go within yourself. I'm going within you and I'm telling you what actually would feel right for yourself. Okay, then why not make it bigger? Why not start doing it before things go that wrong that you get into the point where you say, I don't know which way I'm going anymore. I don't know what to do, you know? And obviously this includes a lot of healing. Because what I also learned is that we all have the inner knowing. It's not that we are little Jesuses, as I like to say, you know, we are healers. No, we just connect with the inner knowing. Everybody has it, but not everybody looks at it. Not everybody listens to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is part of this coaching system is exactly this idea of teaching somebody to look within themselves. And in the end, also to heal within whatever that is there. I know that there were times when I was wondering, okay, what's wrong? What's the cause? The cause doesn't matter. If you have it, that's fine. If you don't have it, you don't even need it. And it happened, I had a chance to learn techniques that help you heal old trauma, old problems without even knowing them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a fantastic thing, because you may not be able to find it, and it's quite difficult to also look within. It's much easier, honestly, after doing a lot of work. I can say that it's much easier for me to see within somebody else than to go within myself and say, okay, this part needs work done.
Why do you think that is, though?
Why it's harder to look within ourselves?
Yes.
First of all, because we are involved. And second, I think even though our actions may or may not reflect self-love or divine love, we have it inside no matter what. And when you look inside, it's so difficult to see yourself other than perfect. Because that's how we are all created. We are perfect. We are perfect for what we are. Everybody is perfectly created for living their own life. Yeah, that type of life, it may not be my type of life, but they are perfect for that. I'm perfect for this one. So yeah. When I go within and I see through my spirit's eyes, I tend to see that perfection. And then how can I see what is not so perfect within me? And it takes quite a lot of practice to look and say, okay, what is part of my physical world and what my spirit wants? And to understand that my nature, who I am, is what I am within, not what I am outside. But yeah, we need to practice it. And another thing that I noticed is that we all get there in our own time. And it's not even good. That's a lesson that I learned through energy healing. It's not good to try to speed up anybody's healing, because there's a reason why they have their own time. They may not be ready to ascend or to get inside that much at once.
It can be overwhelming, yeah. It can be overwhelming too much too soon.
It can be very overwhelming. Yeah.
Divine timing, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it depends if they're actively asking for it. If they're asking for it, 9 times out of 10 they are ready for it. But like you say, that you don't want to force something that's not ready to happen. It's that analogy about the rose. You know, if you try to force a rose bud open, you'll rip the petals. It has to. All you can do is water it and give it sun. You know. Yeah, I agree totally.
You know, not yeah.
So how do you? Like when you take a client on, right? So one of your specialities is helping to see what somebody's gifts are, or what they would be. Did I read that right? Like I read your bio. So your one of your gifts is to help people, help direct somebody to their own gifts. Is that something that they've already said they might be interested in, or is that something that you're seeing with you're delving into their soul or their spirit, and you're saying, well, actually I would maybe give this a try, or maybe give that a try?
Yeah, it's not only about a gift. You can see it. Actually, there was something very interesting I learned a few years ago. It was a little course, but it was more like fun oriented. It was called Realm Readings. I don't know if you are aware of it. It's Doreen Virtue's course.
Doreen Virtue, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the idea is that we all come from a realm, from a place, and it's related to what we are doing here in this lifetime. So to give you an example, if somebody is attracted to angels, if somebody is all about angels, those are people who have the angelic energy incarnated in them. Or those who are even going to the extreme in defending nature, in taking care of nature, they have the elemental energy, and this is something. This is the, let's say, the fun part in it, you know, to go into this. But on the other hand, I read about it, and I tried to learn as much as I could, because in the end we all have a passion, and it's something very easy, of course, very basic, but something very easy that anybody can do. You know, when I started to doubt and to wonder, okay, what's my purpose? Yeah, I'm talented to several things, but looking at them, I don't know if I would want that to be my life path. You can go and ask your friends. I think that's a very good way of getting a good answer. You can ask your friends what they like about you, what they think is that one thing special about you, and they will tell you something. Well, when they tell you that's something, then it's good to take a look into it, because to me that's the first hint that takes you towards your life path. And I remember when I asked my friends, and I would have expected them to say that I'm very good with numbers, for example. I so much want to study numerology. I didn't get to find the time for it yet, but I'm sure that will come for me. I was always very good with numbers, and I remember numbers. I don't know why. I remember numbers very, very easily. And I thought it would be something like that, you know, or maybe that, I don't know, I think things through or something like that. And no, all my friends said to me, you know what, you're so kind. When you say something, if I'm down and you tell me something, is not only the words that you are telling me, it's like you're touching something within me. And I said, whoops, okay, let's take a look into this. Maybe there's a talent that I didn't see yet. Maybe there's something within me that I did not look into yet, you know. So that's part of the basics. Then of course there are tests. There are tests that you can find online that you can do to see what you are rather equipped for, let's say. Yeah. That's helpful as well. And obviously I've done that test, and what came to me was priest, psychologist, healer, teacher, this kind of stuff. And I was okay, yeah. I've done the test quite recently, I don't know, a few years ago. So it was after I got on my path that I found the test. So I knew it already, but it was so interesting to see myself doing that test and actually get exactly this result.
Yeah, which is what you're already doing, yeah.
Yeah, and of course you use your intuition as well, because in the end, yeah, somebody comes and tells you, you know what, in the large idea, let's say, I would be good with natural things. Okay, and then many times you look into your intuition, because when somebody comes to you, they are drawn to you. I don't think anybody, and I always pray, who comes to me, to be those who resonate with me and those who I can help. Because if I don't resonate with somebody, honestly, you cannot help somebody who you don't resonate with. And when I resonate with the person, that means that I hear some answers.
Yeah.
There's a nice exercise that I'm doing many times, actually. I connect with their higher self. And that's where I ask the question. So it's not that I give an answer. I give their own answer that lies within themselves, but they don't access it.
Yeah.
You know?
You help them access their truth.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Does anybody else have a question?
Yeah. Well, the statement it's like I've got all steamy.
Yeah.
It must be the heat. It's got steamy windows. Don't sing Boggie. Don't sing Boggie. So the thing was, like you were saying about, like originally you were saying about filling up with light and focusing on light, and there's an interest. It's all right. There's this thing of like when you was also saying about drawing people to you, or when you build it, they'll come. When you put yourself out there, when you show that you want to do this, people come. And there's this interesting me on the essence of that. This thing about lights is that the more light you have, or the more you build up for us, for like me and Chris, with Tai Chi and our Qigong. So it's the more you do Qigong in that philosophy, is the more light, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, if you are, the brighter you become. So the more other people can see you. And it's that interest. So what's my purpose? Well, there's one good way to find out what your purpose is. Fill yourself up with light and see what happens. It is because if you gather more energy, if you clear out negativity, in a Daoist concept, is one brilliant way to clear out negativity is to fill yourself more with positivity. So if you focus on grows. So if you keep focusing on the good stuff, when people saying about must clear out the negativity, and psychoanalyze and do all this stuff, I think you in essence you said it yourself. Sometimes trying to do, if you keep diving deep, you'll find stuff. It may be treasure, it may be poo, it may be the Loch Ness monster. But you keep diving deep, you'll always find stuff. So if you keep filling yourself with light, if you've got a cup full of mud, and you pour water in it, you pour enough water in it, the mud will overflow and it will all be gone.
But I think that's perfect. That's perfect. And it's like saying about the whole analogy of the Daoist analogy of the teapot. Empty yourself so that you have to, because you will become an overflowing vessel. And if you allow that to flow through you, if you allow the light to flow through you, you will find your own way. It will just direct itself anyway. I've noticed an awful lot just now as well, but especially with the light expanding, the more the light expands, the more it brings up the dark side as well to be cleared. And there's a lot of people, and especially light workers, I've been really surprised at it as well. Like, light workers going on about, you just always say positive things, Robbie. You're just pretending as if you've got this perfect life. You're always positive. Why are you so positive? It's not a real representation of life. Life's not like that. Life's not like that, And it's like, I'm just like, well, you know what? I've not exactly had an easy life. Do you know what I mean? I've had the lows. I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to lose people. I know what it's like to be injured. I know what it's like to be in pain. you know. I know what it's like to suffer. So it's not because I'm pretending that life is just a fairy tale. It's just, I know that when you fill yourself full of light, not only are you able to get over these things and cope with these things and move yourself forward with these things, but you're in a better mood and you positively affect those around you. It's not just that you're pretending that everything is perfect. But I've heard this an awful lot lately from light workers that I would expect to understand these principles, and I'm finding myself defending myself because I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like, can I ask you a quick question? You be happy, Robbie McKenzie? You're so happy. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this happiness.
So you know do they think that you're deluding yourself?
Yeah, exactly. That's almost like as if they're saying there's no way you're this happy, and I'm not just pretending to be happy. I'm actively and consciously and deliberately trying to overcome the dark within me to bring myself into balance and to make myself happy. Because what's the point in being here? Because I think you get long enough in the tooth to realize if you want, misery loves company. You know what I mean? If you want to be miserable, you will have plenty of people who are, the world's terrible, the world's terrible, something bad's just about to happen.
Yeah. No, Robbie, it just happened.
You can find that. You can find it. You can find anything in this world. So it's all a choice, But I think just now, especially as the polarity, it's becoming more and more obvious. You know what I mean? And it's a choice. It's always a choice, Yeah.
There's something I want to say. I think yesterday or 2 days ago, some words came to me, and it was so interesting. The idea was, we are here on this earth. We are born here to fail. Because we keep saying we are afraid of failure. We are scared of failure. And I found that within myself many times. Oh, wow, what if I try to do this and I'm going to fail? Then I'm going to not be good enough. Yeah. But the reason why we come on this earth is to fail. If we would want everything to be perfect, we would be angels, not human beings.
Yeah.
So we are here to fail because through these failures, we learn. Through these failures, we grow. How can I grow if I don't go in that terrible relationship where I'm not respected, where I'm not treated the way I'm supposed to be? How will I know what I want in the end? How will I know how to choose next time? So we are here to fail because that's the purpose in the end. We have to make mistakes so many times until we get it right. And when we get that one thing right, then we are going to make mistakes on another idea, on another side, until we get that one right. So as you say, you are always happy. In the end, it's a choice for you to be happy because these challenges are going to come anyway, and everybody has them. It's not that you don't have them, but it depends how you treat them in the end.
Exactly. That's what mastery is, though, because there's always peaks and troughs. There's always going to be points where what is it Boggie always says, the bigger the up, the bigger the down. There's always going to be an up and a down. There's always going to be a point where you're going to be on top of the world and you've got that ticker tape parade and everything's great and everything's great. But then there's always going to be another point where you're going to be down on your luck. You're not going to have any money. Your friends have deserted you, whatever it is. Your mastery meets in the middle. Your mastery is the point where you can keep cheery through all that. Recognize it's always going to change anyway. It's always going to change. There's always going to be a success and there's always going to be a failure. There's always going to be that. That's part of experience.
Yeah. Do you think it's really
Robbie,
interesting?
Our friends have already left us, so what? We don't give a hoot.
Only because they couldn't get a word in edgeways, though, Boggie.
Oh, is that what it is? And speaking of that, Chris.
So don't you think it's really interesting that throughout life we're taught to be perfect, we're taught to be without failure, without fault, without, to be perfect? It's always like it's projected on us as a pattern as we're growing up. I certainly felt that. It's like, well, you have to pass your driving test first time. Well, well, no, I can do it again if I want to.
Yeah.
I've got the time to do it.
I need to go.
And see, Robbie, And it's this pattern of almost taking us in the opposite direction of where we need to be. And
oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with our education. And I'm sorry to say this, it has a lot to do with our schools. And I pray so much our schools are going to change. Because you have to be perfect, because you learn since you are a child. Your parents want you to be the best child in your child's group, you know. My child is the best, my child is talented, my child is that, you know. Then you put this in your child, and you put this pressure on your child. You have to be perfect. You have to be good in school. You have to behave properly. I don't know. You have to do everything that is right to do. And I hope one day we will learn to take our children the way they are. And when we will learn to take them the way they are, and even help them go towards the path that is their path, you know, rather listen to them than talking to them. I think then this is going to change, and all the society is going to change, and the society will not look so much for perfection, but rather look for acceptance.
Do you feel that when we go for perfection, it actually takes us further away from intuition?
It does.
Because we're not really failing enough to actually find what we don't like, if you see what I mean. Is that the wrong way of looking at it?
No, I think we fail. I think we fail. It's not only that, but I think we make sure we do things in a way to make sure that we fail enough, that we fail as much as we need to fail. You know, I don't know if you ever sabotaged yourself, but I've done this in my life so many times. We sabotage ourselves because we didn't learn the lesson yet, and we need it. And especially when you have a family that wants you perfect, and they want to be there, and they want to fix you, and they want to repair you. And by doing that, with all their love, they don't allow you to learn your lesson. They don't allow you to find your own path. It's really difficult, you know, when you look at your child, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you wish your child would do something in their lives, and you see that actually they don't want that, you know? And it's so hard to trust the divine and to say, okay, maybe that's the way for you. You know, it may not be my way, but that's your way. So I think a big lesson for us is to learn to trust. And it's also part of what Robbie used to say about, you know, being up and being down.
Mm-hmm.
When you are up and when you are down, if you manage to find this trust within yourself, that everything is in divine order, everything is the way it's supposed to be, you know, even when you are down for a reason. And I don't know about you guys, but lately I'm actually going through this sort of ups and downs, and it's related to the energy around us. And there are times when I feel so tired and so, I don't know, so down, as you say. And I think the best thing I can do is to accept and to say, okay, there's something happening around. What would that be, you know? How can I find my balance in this big chaos, in this big energetic chaos? Let me try to find my balance and to hang on, because I know that within 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, things are going to change. And all the energy is going to raise up again, and everything is going to be fine. So it's a lot of, it takes practice, and it takes a lot of willingness to learn to accept, and actually to learn to accept everything that happens to you.
I think that's the hardest thing, though.
Yeah.
Is that you could be sitting next to someone and you'll hear them talking, and they will have a perspective, and you can hear the limitations of that perspective, and you just want to turn around and give them a shake, a hug, whatever it is, and just go, no, it's not like that at all. Think about it this way. Do you get that, well, not frustration, but do you get that feeling that you could just turn around and help that stranger in 5 minutes?
Yes, I get the feeling, and my the feeling that I used to have, and I tried to teach myself not to have it anymore, was I wanted to fix. I knew sort of instinctively, I knew that I can help somebody fix themselves, you know, and I wanted so much to, okay, I can see something is not aligned within yourself. I want to fix you. No, it was so, I think for me that was the hardest lesson to learn, was that you cannot fix everybody. And no matter how much I wish, you know, since I was a teenager, I kept saying that I may be the last romantic in this world, but I still believe, I still believe that we can all live in peace and harmony and love and acceptance. And this belief never left me. Either I was up or I was down. This belief was still with me. So, you know, with this belief, I wanted to say, okay, I can help fix you. I want to fix you. Let me fix you. But what if you don't want to be fixed? Or what if your time to be fixed is different than mine? Because as I don't remember, I think Boggie was saying earlier, you know, the more light you bring within yourself, the more darkness goes away. But if somebody comes to me and tells me, first of all, I had this rough childhood, my parents did that to me and that to me and that to me, I'm in this situation, so somebody is in a really difficult situation. Yes, I say that, and I agree with that. The more light you put within, the more the darkness goes away. But how that person finds the way to bring that light within, that's the hardest thing for them. And it's more of giving somebody the start. When you manage to give somebody the start, things that just unfold for them the way they unfold for ourselves. The more we do, the more we practice, the more we learn more, the more we get more light, we get more energy, we get more inner knowing, because we practice it, because we focus on it in the end. So everything starts by teaching somebody who is in their down moment. It all starts by teaching them that light can come to them, and to allow it into them, and also to allow it as much as it comes. You know, with one of my energy healing teachers, we learned last year the ancient sutras, and our teacher was talking so much about initiations, and she was telling us about the rays and stages of initiations and so on. And everybody was looking to see, am I initiating? Am I there? You know, am I in that position? Am I at that point? And what she was telling us, and I agree with it, everybody has their own time, and everybody has their own rhythm. And don't try to force that rhythm, because somebody may go out of balance. You know, if you send if you send healing to somebody who doesn't ask for it, or you want to force more than it's meant for them, you can harm them. With all your good intention, with all your love, you can harm somebody if you don't learn to accept and take or send what is allowed for them. You know, and it's such a nice expression. I've learned, I had my Reiki trainings in Romania, and the way I was taught to ask for everything was, let me try to translate it exactly, as much as allowed by the divine law or by the divine order. So when I ask for something as much as allowed by the divine order, if I pray for somebody who didn't ask me to do it, I know that I'm not forcing anything. I say a prayer for you because I believe you may need it. And I say, let it go as much as allowed by the divine order, because for some reason I may be on your way and I may be able to help you. And if I'm not sure, if you didn't ask me, the way of knowing clearly if somebody wants your help is by them coming to you and say, help me. Somebody may not say, help me, and somebody may not have the possibility of asking you for help. There are people who may not be able to speak for themselves. So then you have to go by other ways, you know, you have to learn to to talk to what's within them, not what outside of them. But I believe when you always ask to do what is in accordance with divine law and to accept it, then you get exactly the amount of energy, information, whatever you are giving out, you get exactly the amount that is meant for that person and that can be taken by that person.
Thank you. What I find a little bit frustrating is I'll be talking to someone and they go, oh, I've got this pain in my shoulder, or I've got this pain in my leg, or something like that, and I'll go, I can't say anything, but I know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah. Yes, but many times people don't want to listen. And something interesting that I find is, you know, I have a pain here, and I expect you, the healer, to take it away from me. Yeah. And while I can be the channel for the energy to go to you and to help you heal the pain, I don't know, release the pain, if you don't work within yourself, tomorrow you have the pain back and you come back to me to take the pain away from you, until you are going to learn that you have to allow the pain to come completely out of yourself because you are using it for some reason. And I believe that every
core of it has to be dealt with.
Yes, and every pain that we have, I mean, pain, okay, disease, I don't know, even a cold, serves us in some way. We manifest it because it's helping us for something. Maybe we don't take enough care of ourselves. Maybe we are so tired and our body keeps trying to send signals, sort of, I don't know, a backache, a leg ache or something, and you don't mind it. And then you get pneumonia and you wonder, why that happened to me? Well, it happened to you because your body said, I want rest. And if you don't rest with my early signals, then I give you a stronger signal and I put you in bed, like it or not. You know, it was a funny thing. I strained a muscle in December. And it took me 2 months to learn to walk again. And, you know, during those times of terrible pain, I mean, it hurts terribly, believe me. And I was thinking, why that happened to me? Why me? What did I do? What, you know? And then I thought, okay, what did I do before that? Did I allow myself what I wanted for myself? You know, what if this was sort of an inner cry of, okay, sit down, woman, you know? And the moment I learned to accept it, funny thing, of course, my pain diminished a lot. And I could get to a much faster healing, but only after the moment when I said, okay, I needed this for some reason. And even if you don't get the reason, you know, when you start looking for the reason, you get the ways. Like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's exactly the same idea. When you understand that you need that healing, or that there is something within you that created it, you don't even need to get to the cause. When you say, I'm willing to heal it, I'm willing to learn about it, I'm willing to heal myself, you know. When I'm willing to look within, even if, I don't know, let's say I'm not in that vibration of clearly looking within, I may get a sign, I may get an idea, I may get a thought, you know. And many times I got to learn and I got used to it now. I may get thoughts as answers to my questions that I did not even clearly put within myself. I rather realize after I get the answer that, you know, I think I was wondering about it. Because we get the answers that we need. And I also I'm learning all the time to accept that answer comes at the right time and in the right way and in the right place. And no matter how much I want to get the answer today, I may not get it until tomorrow. And I think it's a big challenge to accept and to say, okay, then I should wait until tomorrow because obviously I'm not getting any answer today, you know.
And sometimes that's what's got to happen.
Yeah. And that's where I think that's where gratitude comes in, and that's where gratitude becomes really important, you know, because if you don't get your answer today, you can't just be grateful for what you have today. Knowing that tomorrow you get what you need or what is yours for tomorrow.
Indeed. Okay, right. We're going to stop it there just for a moment, and we'll end this part 1. So those in podcast world, hope you enjoyed it, and tune in to part 2, and we'll continue this journey, continue this story. So it is goodbye from mysteriously appeared, which is Savoy. Savoy's in the background, being very quiet, being very mystic, as he sometimes is. Tom, hi and bye, Savoy, for part 1.
Hi and bye. I'll see you in part 2.
Yeah, see you in part 2. It is goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye, part 1. Hello, part 2.
That voice. That's such a. I heard the intro and I thought that intro is better than mine. I want you to do it more often. And for now, it's goodbye from Angel.
Yeah, bye from part 1. Hello in
bye,
part 2.
Bye, part 1. Okay, so take care. Take care. Love, Chin Shen. Conscious mindfulness. Mark it. I need to get some water. Anybody else need to get some water?
I need to get some water. So we'll be 2 minutes.
Definitely.
2-minute break.
Okay, let's fill the cup then.
Okay, so we've got 1 or 2 people on YouTube. Don't worry, we're just having a quick break because it's melting here in the UK. Okay. Oh, yeah, so just wait for the other 2 to get back. So no, that's cool. It's enjoying it so far. Thank you, Angel. It's a good show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
More than welcome. Yeah, so I'll just wait for the others to reappear. Oh.
We pray for better days.
Well, you know, it's funny, typical England. England's never happy. You know, if it rains too much, we complain. If it's snow, we complain. If it's hot, we complain. England just likes to complain.
Brilliant. I was in work and someone said to me, 25 is that's fine for me. I'm like, this is awesome. It's amazing. We've got like tropical temperatures here in the UK. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favourite weather in the world, but I'm not going to, you know, whinge and moan, you know, whinge and moan about it. You know, it's like I say, it's, you know, it's different. It's good, you know. I'm used to it because when I was a baker, you know, it was like this in the bakery. Well, actually, it's what you said. It was what 86. So I instantly know it's about 100, 105 in the bakery. So in the old bakery I used to work in, it will be at least 105 there. I'd be, you know, I'm getting hot and 6 hours, change the shirt. I was when it would be like this, we would be absolutely drenched. Me and the baker that I used to work with, old Dennis, would be and you know, like health and hygiene would say, "Oh, you can't do that." So changing, I change in an hour, I'm going to be drenched again. You know, there's no point. So, but anyway, I digress. Right, if we're all back, we'll kick off part 2. So when you're ready, Chris, we'll set it up for starting. So we'll start in 5. Breathe in the chi, breathe out the cha. Let go, and you'll go. Hello, and welcome to the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, or the Way of Angel Trinity, Part 2. So, if you've come straight to Part 2, what are you doing, you fools? Part 1. We talked about letting in the light. We've talked very much about, but also not just somebody healing you, which I want to talk about in a minute. Not about somebody just healing you, but actually learning to heal yourself. We have, as always, we have the mighty questioner. We have the mighty Savoy. He's in the background, listening and learning, as he likes to do, and occasionally saying something, as he. We will have the mighty Robbie Mackenzie, Robito, appear at some point, as he will, like in a puff of smoke, and then disappear in a ring of smoke. And then we have back the wonderful Angel. Oh God, there's actually from part 1. There was a couple sort of. Tell them in the questions as a statements. I do more statements than questions, and I always get the eyebrows from Chris. So I'm going to try to turn it into now. He's going, don't blame me. Don't do that. Look, Chris, it cracks me up. So it does it worse, you little monkey. So you were talking about, like, originally you studied to be an engineer. And I find this really interesting because two of my main teachers were very scientific. Like Frasa, which is Middle Eastern face reading, and then the other one, Terry, was very much a qigong practitioner and healing. Well, more really the qigong and tai chi, but they were very scientific about it. You know, they use that science, or they use that logic to certain, like, you know, if you can use logic and it doesn't break down, then you can prove it to certain people. You know, when you get people, oh, I don't believe in that because it's this. What I do is I start bringing out the case studies, and I start bringing out. Or at least I used to. I'm trying not to as much, but I'll bring out, you know, the stuff from the FBI and the CIA that they've done case studies on positive thinking, and they've done this and the 100 monkey effect and this and that and that. But because, you know, for me, it really works. So did you find your engineering mind, if I may call it that, your science mind, did you find that help you find a middle ground, or at least help you explain stuff to people who may have normally said, oh, I don't believe in this?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do, and it depends. And lately it becomes something that I kind of know intuitively. You know, there are times when somebody may ask me, I don't believe in this, how can you prove me and stuff? And I may just say, I don't need to prove it to you. And the first thing, you questioning it gives yourself an answer before anything, you know. But then, yes, there are things that can be proved. And there is something that I've learned a bit about. I didn't get to master it. I didn't get to learn much about it because I should go and stay in Romania for a longer time, and I don't have that time. But there is something, I don't think they teach it in UK, and it's not even easy to translate it, but it's something related to bioenergy and there's a tool that you use, and you can actually physically measure the size of a person's energy field. So I'm not talking about, with my hand I can feel it. Okay, I can tell you I feel it with my hand, but actually I feel nothing. But I have this very little tool. It's like a rod. Basically, it's like a rod. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, can now. I'll put you on main camera.
All right, so you hold it between your fingers, and you go and you ask that the rod turns a certain way when you got to the end of somebody's energy field. So you can get to measure it physically. Then there are a lot of measures that tells you measure the physical field, and there are a lot of calculations that you can do to identify how healthy a physical body is based on the measurements that you can do with this tool. So you can do mathematical calculations, and you can show somebody, if that's the case, you can show somebody, look, this is where your energy field ends. And there are also some values that say up to which distance you have a healthy body, because another interesting thing is that the energy field shrinks if there's a case of disease, and the energy field is 0 on a dead body. So that can be measured. If you put this on a dead body, you're not going to get anything from it. So yeah, there are ways of bringing science to it. And interestingly is that science starts to show now, science becomes a witness to what spiritual people say since long time. I don't remember exactly. It was recently I heard of something, and I was quite amazed to see that yes, science accepted it, but I honestly don't remember what it is. And I remember seeing that somebody started to use crystals and to put a certain pressure on them and realize that they can create light. I mean, physical light
and energy. They're actually generating energy.
Yes, that's what we know. That's what we feel. Yeah, we use crystals. We can feel their energy. We can program the crystals. But this person physically pressed the crystal and obtained light. One that you can see with your...
a quantum experiment. They were actually reading watts. They were putting pressure on the crystals and actually reading wattage from the. In essence, that's what they were doing with Seconda watches back in the 30s. You know, you had watches powered by quartz crystals. And it's basically a little hammer hitting the crystal, which was sparking, creating electricity, and powering the watch. You had two scientists, two lots of scientists. You had one, I think he was Russian as well. I always have to check, I always forget his name. Simon Krillian, who did the Krillian camera. Krillian. And obviously that did the auras. It saw the auras because you had amputees, and they would take a photograph and you'd actually still see the energy of the hand. Now, obviously, in phantom pains, they say basically it's the nerve is technically still there. All pain technically in the body is referred pain. So if you no longer have a limb, that originally the medical profession was saying, well, you still feel you have an itch in your hand because it's referred pain. But what the Krillian cameras were showing, well, energetically, that hand's actually still there. There was actions. I think this was because both my Sifus went to Russia to hear about these guys. I can't remember what they were called, but they created. It was biometric reader, and basically it saw the chi or energy in energy channels within the body, because basically the Russians got really excited. I think this was late 80s, early 90s, and they did this world conference and showed these pictures and these cameras, and Chinese being Chinese, you know, they brought up a book of the meridians. You mean like this? Yes, the meridians we found 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you know, science. The point is science is actually all these things that we were talking about. You know, they're now actually confirming. And I could go on forever, as Chris knows very well. There's so much stuff, because I love this mix of science and spirituality, because, you know, for people who want to blindly you know, disbelieve, that nothing will ever change them. But for those who have been the proverbial wool pulled over the eyes because science says it doesn't exist, well, actually, it's been saying, well, actually it does exist, but it has to catch up. There's layers within society, and things eventually catch up, and it's our box. It's the whole thing of putting things in box. If we say this is not connected to this, then that, you know, that will keep those questions that we can't answer. It will keep, you know, that you know, that's in the spoof, that's in the fringe department. You know, the whole thing about fringe science was this whole thing. So you had this whole range of stuff which, no, that can't be proven, that's not this and that's that. And the problem with quantum physics, all the things we've been saying, all the whole thing about you are one, everything is energy, everything's light, quantum physics is basically going, oh yes, and it's doing more and more, and so people are, they want to or not, to a degree, they are waking up, they are seeing the connections, they are saying we are all one, but it's actually knowing we are all one. We are actually all interconnected, and science says so. So no.
You know, I can tell you a funny story about this. My father is a total non-believer. If you can demonstrate something that he can see, he's going to believe you. If you cannot show him something that he can see with his own eyes, he will listen to you, but he's not going to believe it within himself. And it was all interesting and funny. And I told him that I'm working with tarot cards, with energy. And, you know, I was really happy about it. My father said, okay, but how can you prove me that this thing is something tangible? I said, okay, I can prove that to you, until the day his mother's spirit raised to God. And he woke up in the middle of the night seeing his mother in his room. Of course, it was a matter of seconds, because then his mind woke up and said, this cannot be true, you know? And when he said, this cannot be true, the image disappeared. But then I was the one going to him and say, okay, now how can you, Mr. Engineer, explain me, why did you see your mother in your room when you opened your eyes? Maybe I was dreaming. You are not dreaming, you opened your eyes. So now you explain that, you know? So I think lately more and more people who don't believe start to have experiences, start to see things. And my daughter many times brings friends at home, and they ask me stuff, you know, and they like to ask questions, and they are all they don't believe, they don't care, they are not interested, until they come and say, yeah, okay, so is there anything I should know about myself? And I tell them. They look at me and they say, how did you know that about me? You know? And then they realize, oh, there must be something about this. Maybe that's something interesting. And my daughter tells me yesterday, I think, you know, Mom, since about 2 weeks, I have a few unicorns that are making their presence their presence shown so much to me lately. I don't know what they want. And I said, shut up and listen, because obviously they want to pass a message to you, but you should listen to it. Don't just acknowledge that they are there. They are there for a purpose, and they are there to help you, to give you something, but you need to ask a question and then listen to the answer which I see is really hard for this generation, though I assume it worked the same when we were in our 20s. So yeah, it happens. And another thing that happened, I'm not very good in seeing aura. I rather sense it than seeing it and telling, yes, your aura is blue right now, you know. And she came to me one day and she said, Mama, you're green. I was, what? She said, you have a green light around you. I said, okay, you are seeing aura, but I don't want to see. It's not your choice, or it is your choice, but you're not aware of it. You're not conscious of it. So it happens. So many kids start to wake up, and so many kids start to ask questions and look for answers. And luckily they have where to find answers, because I remember myself asking myself questions when I was their age, and there was nobody to answer my questions to me. So I believe they are the lucky ones at this point. They have access to information.
Something that struck me in part one is you kept referring back to looking inside of yourself, and
yeah,
I find this a really hard concept to deal with, because it's like, are you looking inside your body? Are you looking for a physical sensation? Are you looking for some visual experience, or a thought, or a feeling?
When you look inside yourself, actually you are looking for nothing, I would say. The way I got there was, obviously it took quite a lot of time. First, you know, I kept hearing one of my teachers saying, okay, go within, look within. Then I was watching videos, for example, the videos of Thich Nhat Hanh, who kept saying, go within, look within yourself. And I was thinking, exactly as you asked me now, you know, I was thinking, how can you look within yourself? I understand there is something within ourselves, there is that spirit within ourselves, but how you connect to it, you know, how you make that how you put a wire between the two. And what happened first, the way I got it first, and the way I explained it to others, because that's how I find it easy to explain. You close your eyes and you try to imagine yourself behind your eyes. It's not something that comes easy. Of course, it comes with practice. But you get to imagine yourself at a point behind your eyes. And it's not that you get to do it every time you want. But it happens when you keep trying. You get moments when you can close your eyes, and then you sort of put yourself behind your eyes. And then a day comes when you learn to travel within your body. Now, I can say that the practice of sutras helped me much more to be able to go within and get answers from within. So what for me was getting answers from maybe tarot cards, or asking questions, looking for signs, you know, or looking for that inner communication, changed a lot since the practice of sutras, which actually is meant to help you connect more within yourself. And I got to quite interesting experiences when I was sort of going inside my body and I was feeling my blood flowing through my legs. It was quite an interesting thing. But again, it comes first of all with your willingness. And I think more and more we are given somehow the possibility, the power, the inner tools that we are not even aware of to get there. It's just a matter of willingness. So if we want, I think now we are naturally better equipped to get to the experience that we are willing to find. And I think the biggest secret is not to look for anything. Because when you look for a vision, you may get a vision, then you start paying attention to that vision, you start analyzing the vision, and the vision is going to disappear. Or you look for a sound, you hear a sound, you start analyzing it, the sound disappears. It's so important to look for nothing and to accept anything that comes to you in that moment. And if you want to analyze, of course, because you may look for a meaning or you may look for a message or something, analyze it after that. So if you meditate and you happen to hear your heartbeat, continue to meditate, you know. When you finish meditation, then try to ask yourself, why did I hear my heartbeat? How was the beat? Is there something that my heart tries to communicate to me? You know, but in that moment when you happen to just hear that heartbeat, just let it be. You happen to see a vision, let it be, let it happen, you know. And it's the moment, the way I was taught meditation, it's the moment when you finish meditation and you remain there quiet for a few minutes, settle in. That's when you ask questions. That's when you start thinking about whatever you heard or saw or felt during meditation. That's when you get that's when you may get answers to the questions that you put in your mind.
Awesome. Well, I'll see if I can put some of that into practice.
Yeah, I invite you to try.
I like what you just said there, because that's all what I'm about, is the physical ascension process. So while you're meditating and you're feeling your heartbeat and you're feeling the blood rush through your veins and everything, it turns from a spiritual experience into a physical experience. And that physical experience is very, very important when it comes to healing, when it comes to even as much as working out, when it comes to just health in general, when it comes to ascending, when it comes to changing your body, is understanding you have that heartbeat, and that heartbeat is going through your veins. It's going through micro veins. It's going to your skin. That heartbeat is going into your brain to help you function and do the thoughts and have the visions. That heartbeat is helping you see. That heartbeat is everything that's inside of your body. It's what keeps you warm at night. It's what keeps you warm in the cold weathers. And that heartbeat is your life, and so is your nervous system and all of that. So when you said and you meditated and you felt your heartbeat, when you said that you felt the blood rush through your veins, I instantly sparked up.
Yeah, but you know, in the end, I think, yes, this experience becomes physical, but I think it's teaching you that there's no separation. I think it's our human mind and our human nature to look for separation in everything, though there's no separation in this lifetime between our spirit and our body. There's no separation, although sometimes our spirit may just go and search for whatever they need search for and come back, but there's no separation, and there's no separation between you and me in the end.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever had that experience. The way I got it was, I think it was after a meditation, and I had this feeling that there's a big network of wires, something very, very complicated, that actually connects every single person with every single person. So actually we are all part of a huge wired network. This was the way I can, let's say, visually represent my feeling of oneness. We all come from the same place, we go to the same place, and we are exactly the same. We may experience different things, we may have different appearance, but in our essence, we are the same. And how I started this years ago was, I was looking at people, and I'm kind of a blunt person. I'm told that I'm not diplomatic at all. And I have the habit of looking in a person's eyes when I speak to a person, until I got to look behind their eyes. And if you try this, whenever you have the chance, you look at somebody and try to see behind their eyes. And my feeling all the time, with no exception, is that I see myself. So then you see their soul, you see their heart. And then you realize that it's exactly the same as yours. They may have different experiences, they may have a heart broken and you have a leg broken, but in the end, you know, both of you have something broken.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just see that that person is exactly like you. So basically, there's no separation between us. It's only our mind that says, yeah, we are separated and everything is separated. The mind is separated from the body or from the spirit, and I'm separated from you. And, you know, countries are separated and continents are separated while nobody's separated.
That's how pain occurs. When you have that separation, like, oh, my arm, and then, oh, my arm hurts. Instead, when you think about it and you're like, oh, I have a body, and that pain just disperses. It goes throughout the entire body. It's gone, you know?
Yeah,
and
or you can try to chase it.
Yeah, you can try to chase it too. I want pain. Give me pain.
Did you ever try it? No, if you feel pain in an arm, let's say, and you try to go, it's sort of, you're trying to feel exactly where is the point of the pain. And that pain is going to go somewhere else in your body. Then you concentrate on that part of your body, trying to point exactly where the pain is. The pain will go somewhere else. And if you keep chasing it like that, your pain is going to go away.
I've got this neat little trick that I do with people where, you know, like they, you know, I'm doing massage and, oh yeah, you know, my pain's down here. And then, you know, so I work on that, boom, boom, 30 seconds, couple of minutes. They go, oh, the pain's over here now. It's moving. and you know, because actually what happens is that medically your body can only actually feel one pain at a time. So if your foot hurts or your hand hurts and I stamp on your foot, you won't feel your hand anymore because your foot will hurt. So and that's this thing, the illusion of that pain is that, you know, that pain's everywhere and nowhere all at once. And there's that cool thing, you like, I mean, Savoy, you are awesome. You say very little, and then when you do say stuff, it's freaking profound. You know, you are. Questioner is the awesome of questions, and you are the awesome of answers. So it's great to have you. Oh, the questioner's giving me dirty looks now. I'll get my lightsaber out. Don't start. You know. But anyway, so yeah, you know, everything is.
I love that face.
No, don't force me to get my lightsaber over there. Don't force me to get my lightsaber. But yeah, it's very, very cool. You know, well, it is. People get caught in this illusion of, oh, you know, the pain's, oh, and it moves. And it's, well, you know, you have layers of pain, you know, because there's layers of things. And when you remove one, there'll always technically be something else. It goes back to that thing. I mean, I don't like, me personally, I don't like the, you know, we were saying about you have to fail. Is I've always said is that if you give up, you fail. Yeah. If you work through whatever it is that's happened, it's a lesson. It's not a failure, it's a lesson. So, you know, my problem is I never give up. I keep going. I'm a stubborn ass git. So I've, you know, like me and Robbie joked earlier about losing friends. I've lost friends because I won't give up on stuff, because I'm insistent on still doing the Tai Chi, and I'm insistent on still doing the healing. And, you know, I've had friends pretty much turn around and call me a loser because I won't stop doing these things. But it's what I believe in. It's what I believe for me is true, and what you believe is true. That's the point. But it's this. So for me, there isn't. You only fail if you give up. That's my philosophy, my personal feeling. So is that you have these lessons, and life is about experiences, is about lessons. You go through these things and you experience them. You know, you can choose to give up or choose to see them as a problem, or you can choose to see them as a solution waiting to happen and a lesson waiting to happen or waiting to be experienced. So I went off on tangent. Chris, save me.
Yes, Sifu. So a lot of what we've been talking about is very much around perspective, and the perspective of how people view and see something objectively and subjectively. And it's very interesting listening to you talk not only about your experiences now, but how you can relate those back to your experiences of your childhood. And I was just wondering if you could maybe talk about your thoughts around that subject of sort of perspectives and how people see the world, and how your view of the world has changed as your understanding of spirit has come along.
Well, I don't know, because I think everybody gets to have their own experience. But let's remember that in everything that we do, we are influenced by our childhood experiences. We keep the memory, either conscious or not, and we act upon it. And you know, there was a funny thing I heard once, I don't even remember who said that. The idea was that everything that your mother taught you before the age of 7 has the power of truth for you. So when you look to change something about yourself that you can see it's so difficult for you to change, it's very helpful if you can go back to before the age of 7 and try to see, to find out what your mother was telling you at that point, at that moment. Because that's the moment when we learn the most. So yes, we always go back to childhood experiences. And I think the most important thing is not to stay stuck in them. Because if you look at anybody who at a point in their life stays stuck in the past, they can always relate it to a childhood experience. They may say, okay, I don't know, all my friends cheated with something in my life. Then if you look in your childhood, you can relate it to something. Or if you say, okay, I'm in an abusive relationship, or I've had 3 relationships so far and they were all abusive. And you get to the point of looking back and maybe there was abuse in your childhood. So we relate these experiences, and also I think we keep bringing them back until we heal them. So it's another question that I get. You know, there are 2 types of questions I usually get from people who come to me. One is, what's my purpose? The other one is, when am I gonna find love? You know. And especially all my daughter's friends are coming to me and they want to know when I'm going to find that love, that partner, that whatever. But the thing is that if there is something within you, something you brought from your childhood, your idea about relationships or your experience of relationships in your childhood, you are going to bring it on and on and on in your own relationships until you'll heal it. So it's very important to understand that you have to go within to heal it, or you have to work on yourself. Yes, you can go to a healer who helps you a lot, who brings light within you, who helps you accelerate the process, who gives you answers that you don't access yourself. But you must have that willingness of allowing, let's say, allowing the healing to happen. And it happened to me lately to see so many times how people need certain experiences. They actually need them, and I got to see that was quite interesting, and I don't know, mind-blowing for me. When I knew about somebody going through a challenge in their life, and I could see how they need it. I could even see that it's not my place to go and try to heal. It's my place only to be there for the person, you know, or to be there for the person. When the person wants to heal, the person will come to me, and then I'm there, and I'm available, and I say, I welcome the person, and I help that person. But yes, it happened that I saw it, and I see it in my family many times, you know. I see members of my family who need an experience, and there's nothing I can do to change it. It's so hard, you know, when you love somebody, and you have to go into this feeling of acceptance and know that, yes, they are still going through an unpleasant experience because they need to get to that point of learning, and then they will get to you. And then, of course, you know, all those your old friends, Sifu, who said that who are not your friends anymore, if one day they are going to need healing, take a guess who are they going to call? They all know who you are. They all know where you are, you know. And it's only when they are ready that they're going to come to you and say, what were you saying about that thing? Can you say that again to me, you know? Or could you answer a question for me? So yeah, but actually everything relates to childhood. And many times I used to say, I wish so much to be able to go back to 10 years old with the knowledge that I have now. You know, it would be, obviously, it would be a totally different experience and a very interesting one. But for some reason, we get exactly the amount of information that is needed or meant for us at a certain moment. And we can't get more than that, no matter how much. You know, I discovered books. I discovered that I had books that would have enlightened me so much 30 years ago, and I was not aware of them, you know, and I discovered them much later. But I was having them. And I found a lost book in my laptop. I don't know, it was lost there for about 5 years, and I just happened to find it when it was the time to find it.
Yeah. I've had a similar experience to that. It's like, I was doing a particular energy system, learning a particular energy system, and then it's like, this is amazing, this is great. Oh, but I've had this book for 15 years. Why didn't I?
You're not ready to read it.
Yeah, yeah. So,
and then what happens? The book becomes the you know, it's the now you're ready, but you know you had all that time. It's been sitting on your shelf for all that time. It's there, but you weren't ready. And that's the universe. Universe likes its cosmic jokes.
Yeah.
Terry would say the universe very much likes its cosmic jokes, and the universe thinks it's funny. You might not think it's funny at first, but yeah, the universe likes cosmic jokes.
Yeah.
So we were talking. This question is going to take us right back to the first 5 minutes of the show, but there was something that struck me about what you're saying about not judging others, and Robbie was coming out with some great stuff, and I didn't manage to get this question in at that time. But
really,
it was basically that you've got judgment and perception, and when do you know you've crossed the line from judgment into perception? Would you say?
When I get involved, I would say. So when we talk about perception, you get the information of something that you notice, and you don't put any emotional, that it has no emotional power, you know. I notice that something is not the way I would agree, for example, but it doesn't bring any emotion to me. But when I see something and I instantly find myself getting an opinion about it, you know, then I'm looking into the idea of judging. And also when you try to get, when you find a negative word to say about a person or about the situation, you know, let's say if I go on street and I see people throwing on street their garbage, and my reaction is quite emotional, yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, this person is not educated, or this person is not caring, or whatever. When I put my feelings into it, then I get to judge, you know, and I'm looking for something negative about that person. If I stop there and I say, okay, if there may be another reason why this person is reacting that way. And when you ask yourself, can there be another reason? Then you can find many other possible reasons. And by the way, this works very well in the case of arguing other people. you know, because when we argue somebody, by the way, I think we are going into judgment every single time, else we wouldn't argue. So when I find myself really arguing, the person I love to argue most is my husband, by the way. Because there's always a lesson out of it. Plus, it takes out that everyday monotony, you know, when you have a fight, you have a fight, I mean. But the funny thing is that, yeah, we start arguing, and when we start arguing, we start going into ego, and then, you know, I defend myself, he defends himself, and I see these things. And then at the point I look at him and I say, okay, what are we doing here, you know? And when I see that we are going into ego, then we start to judge. And then we start to, oh, you said that, but you meant that. Many times I say, you know what, if I said that word, I only meant that word. I did that meaning that you found actually was in your mind, not in mine, you know? So when you start saying, okay, is there any other reason why you react like that? Then yes, you can fight with many other reasons. And maybe I just had a bad day and it just happened that you were in front of me and I had to unload all the feelings that I got through the day, and you were the unlucky one. And that's it, you know? And when you find yourself in that moment, I think the best thing you can do is to just maybe crack a joke and say, I'm sorry, I apologize. Look, my problem is that actually something else happened and I was really upset and I was feeling tired or I was feeling angry or whatever, and you just happened to be in front of me. And by the way, another thing that actually I believe is a big part of healing everything is asking for forgiveness and giving forgiveness. You know, if I offend people around me, and we all do, because we react in a way and they react in another way. But when you find that strength within yourself to go and say, I'm sorry, this is what happened to me. This is why I reacted that way. And I'm sorry if I hurt you. That heals the conflict there and then. You don't have to go and have a healing session about it, you know. You get the healing instantly. So I think it's very important that we always ask and give forgiveness for whatever. And it was part of my initial training, by the way, in energy healing, when I was told to take 3 people in my life that I feel I have the biggest problem with, or I feel that hurt me the most in my life. And every single day to say a few affirmations, 20 times each. And it was going like this. I forgive you for anything you may have done to me now or at any other time. Because I don't know if maybe you've done to me something 3 lives ago and now I've done something to you. And the second affirmation is, I ask you to forgive me for anything I may have done to you now or at any other time. And the third one is, I forgive myself. Well, these 3 affirmations are healing in themselves. You know, they can bring many, many healing experiences to you. You don't need to ask for any energy, for any light. But when you put this out of your heart and you say, yes, I'm asking you to forgive me for what I know and I don't know I've done to you, because there may be something I don't even know. And that's where healing comes from. Besides healing somebody else, it's equally important, because, you know, you may be hurt by something that somebody told you, I don't know, 20 years ago. They are not aware of it. They live their life. They are happy. And you stay miserable for a whole life because of what somebody said to you 20 years ago, you know? You need that healing within yourself and you need to let it go. And then you can heal anything that is related to that moment. Because if you keep it long enough within yourself, then you get to serious disease, to serious illness. And then you need to work much, much, much more to get to heal it.
Yeah, it's that release, isn't it? You need to just release and let it out, let it flow out, and then it's gone, and you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like we're so happy to just hold on to things. We're like hoarders. Yes, I'll hold these bad experiences. It's like, you don't have to.
It's because they hurt us. They hurt us, and we want, I think we want a closure, and we don't have it. Because another thing is, like I said, I'm experiencing arguments with my husband because we are both open enough, you know, and we don't get to conflicts that that can go where we don't want to. And if you look at it, you know, whatever happens in that moment is brought by, I don't know, by circumstances, by whatever it is. But if I'm willing to release it, I leave it there. If I'm not willing to release it, I carry it with me. But I'm going to bring the same argument every single time until the day I can release that. So if you look even at conflicts with somebody else, if you put them from a place of healing, you are going to get exactly to this realization, you know, that if I hold on to this, I'm just keep experiencing it on and on and on because I need to heal it. I need to take it out. And even God is going to give me that experience over and over until I'm going to learn the lesson. Because we are born to fail in this life. And we keep failing until we heal. That's exactly the point when we stop failing. When I healed something about myself, I stop failing. I stop experiencing that failing or that thing that hurts me just because I let it out of me.
See, that's interesting to me because the path of release is also the path of spirituality in a way, from what you've been saying.
Yes.
Your journey, your Tao, your path has been one step after another, slowly building up to where you are now. But then before you get to that point where you start building up your spiritual side, you've had to take those little steps, going through the pain, going through the release. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, of course. And, you know, I think the hardest thing is to look your pain in the eyes and say, okay, that's what you are. You are here. You are my pain. I have to deal with you. Or you realize that your current pain is much worse than the pain you have to go through by dealing with it. You know, the state you stay in today may become much more painful than the pain you have to go through to take your stuff, look within, and say, okay, you know, there's a way we say in Romania, look in the mirror, slap your face twice, and wake up. You know, we use this expression when we want to tell somebody, wake up, you are harming yourself. You don't look in the mirror, you don't look within, you don't see yourself, so wake up, do something that will make you start moving, that will make you start healing somehow, you know.
I think another expression that I've heard as well is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So you can give people the answers, you can tell them exactly how it is, rationalize it, put science in there, whatever you want to do. But if they're not willing to listen and accept that information that you've given to them, then it's falling on deaf ears. You know, you can't force someone to do what they want. And I think Robbie would say this: it's the law of free will. Is that the right expression?
Yes.
Robbie? But yeah, it's the law of free will, and everyone's got it. This is a good and bad thing. Arguments come out of it, and because people have a limited understanding from the perspective that they have. And so because your perspective is limited at the time that you're talking, you have to, as you said earlier, expand your view to encompass the other person's viewpoint. And only at that point can you meet and bridge in the middle and actually come to an agreement.
That's what you do when you work on healing, when you work on helping others. You are a bridge, actually. That's what you are. Like I said, you're not a little Jesus who use your hands and you healed somebody. No, you are a bridge. You are a bridge between two worlds, or you are a bridge between a person's spirit and their body, because they can't access it. For whatever reason, they cannot access it. And you have to learn this level of acceptance, of saying, okay, I can see you are harming yourself. I can see you are not aligned with yourself. But I can also see that for some reason you still needed the experience. And you still have to go through your experience until you are going to be willing, until you will say, okay, now I want to heal. Now I don't want to stay in this situation anymore. I want out of it. And then you find that strength within yourself. You find that inner power that moves you forward and says, you know what, no matter what, I'm not staying in this situation anymore. And actually that's what drives people, and that's what drove me all the time in my life. There was it was quite a long time when I was trying to find out why at certain moments in life I just came out of terrible situations. And every time what came after that was better than what it was better than the past, you know. And how could I do that? How could I find that power? And then when everything was nice, maybe I didn't accomplish my goals, or I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't find that inner drive. But actually, it's exactly that moment when you say, I can't stay in this situation anymore. That's when you do whatever it takes, and you find also your inner strength. That's when unconsciously you connect with your spirit, and you are shown the way from within yourself. You may or may not be aware of it.
That's so
and
cool.
You even happen to go to find a certain teacher, you know, and you say, how did that happen? It's just a miracle, or I don't know, somehow this teacher came my way. No, actually it was you from within. You took the action because you connected with yourself without knowing. And you happen to go somewhere or read something, or I don't know, open a web page or something, and you just found your answer.
Cool.
Right. That is very cool.
I think that's right. Most of my questions answered for now.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah, I like that a lot. That's very, very profound. I mean, you know me. No, I say like you are your creator, but you are your own guide. You are your own, you know, your own Sifu. You are your own Sifu. You will find that information you require if you only allow yourself. Very, very cool indeed. Right, so it's time to wrap up. So we've only got Chris and Savoy. Savoy, is there any final comments? Anything you would like to add before we wrap up the show?
I don't think I have any, to be honest.
That's cool. That's cool. It was pretty awesome. So that's all. It's all good. Thank you very much for being part of the team, part of the co-hosts. Chris, have you had or say?
Let's see. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure hearing your point of view and your perspective, your way of seeing the world. It's kind of like being on a journey with you. You've kind of gone through your life, and it's just been a real pleasure to see that perspective, see how you've grown into such a strong place, a strong mind, where little things that look like big things don't really get to you anymore. I think that's how I'd express it. So yes, thank you very much for being on the show.
I want to thank you all very much. I really enjoyed this show, and I'm really happy to get to know all of you. Actually, and you know, it's so comforting and so reassuring when you happen to just meet more and more members of the tribe. This is my feeling here, that I just met more members of the tribe. And obviously, I'm really happy about it, and I'm very grateful for this. I want to thank you so much for inviting me to this show. It was a great honor to be here.
You just said something else very profound. I look back on, I don't know about Chris as well, but I look back in the last year of the show. I've found
why.
What?
You looked up for about 30 seconds there.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Keep going, man. Don't worry.
What I was saying is that what you said was very profound, as in the fact that I don't know about Chris, but for me, the last year having this show, I have definitely found some clan members. I've definitely found some people in my our tribe. Our tribe is definitely coming together. There's definitely some interesting folk here. And I can, hand on heart, I can definitely say I've loved this show, and I've definitely learned some techniques for my Dao, for my way, from you. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you for that.
You're more than welcome. And I know if Robbie was here, apart from we wouldn't get a word in edgeways, I love him. He'd be saying the same. He enjoyed the show immensely. You can tell because he didn't stop talking. So it was a great show. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I'll probably find Robbie's. He'll be teasing me later because I'm teasing him. But thank you so much. Had a great show. So next week we have. I'm gonna have to quickly look her up just to make sure I don't say her name wrong. Lene Goolsby. Hope I said your name right. She is on the show next week, and we will be doing intuitive empowerment. She's also a life coach and also doing Oracle of Pragmatic Reassurance. Maybe maybe I should have got Chris to read that one. But anyway, so that will be the guest for next week. I'll shut up. I've got my lightsabers. The lightsabers are just there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You asked for it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you come back next week for another show, take care. Thank you very much to the wonderful Robbie, who's not here at the moment to say thanks. Thank you very much to Savoy. And thank you the mighty answerer, and then Chris, the mighty questioner. So, Savoy, that's your new name. And then, of course, thank you to Angel herself. So, everybody, take care. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks.
The Way of Conscious Mindfulness. Love, Chin Shen. Bye-bye.